Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. Many, many things that are breaking this morning. We've got domestic news. We've got international news. Tucker Carlson releasing some comments, speaking out for the first time after being canned over at Fox News. So we'll play those for you and react. We also have a bit of debt ceiling drama. Kevin McCarthy able to survive the first test. It was able to barely cobble together enough votes to pass through his debt ceiling proposal through the House. Still very unclear what happens next. We have Zelensky and Xi actually speaking on the phone. We'll tell you what we know about that. We've got some new comments from Kamala Harris that you're going to enjoy. And a new poll over in the Democratic primary race. Someone actually decided to poll the actual candidates who are in the race, which no one has done yet. You might be surprised by the results, and I think the Biden White House might be surprised by the results. We've got an escalation in the battle between Ron DeSantis and Disney. Nate Silver is out at 5:38. Quite an extraordinary media move in a week of a lot of wild media moves. And we're excited to talk to Anthony Fantano now. He's a YouTuber who does a lot of music reviews, huge channel, and he's going to talk to us about these new AI Drake and The Weeknd songs that have been coming out, which actually, in my opinion, are not that bad.
Low-key, not bad. I'm a big music guy, and so I'm excited to talk to Anthony about it and what it means.
And I want to know his analysis of whether he thought the songs were good, because Loki, I like some Drake songs, but I'm not a huge Drake fan.
Yes.
I actually thought this song was better than many Drake songs.
That's my thing. Is I'm not sophisticated enough. I barely listen to any music at all, so I want to talk to somebody like him and be like, okay, how much of a thing actually is? Because to me, I'm a nobody.
The artist has got to be freaking out, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation. I also want to take a moment here to want to say thank you so much to everybody who's been heeding our call for support at this time. We shelled out the biggest expense in the history of Breaking Points for our new set. You guys are helping us. We have officially paid off the lights. We still have quite a bit way to go in terms of all the help. So as I've reiterated, the yearly and the lifetime members, they're the most helpful to us from a cash flow perspective. We also do have a donation button on our website, but we'd love for you to just become premium members. Not only just support the show, you get all the benefits and all of that. So breakingpoints.com, if you're able, it means the world to us.
Yeah, and thank you to those of you who have been signing up. It really, you guys are coming through as you always have, and we are just extremely grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get to Tucker Carlson. Pretty crazy. He dropped a new video at 8:01 Eastern Standard Time yesterday. Probably not a coincidence, because it's the exact moment when his old show was going live on the air.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, that was certainly a little bit of a subtweet. Since has now garnered over 25 million views. Here's what he had to say.
Notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
Couple of big takeaways there. I think number one, at the end, I actually thought was the most significant. There are still some places where you can tell truth. That could be a hint at his future. We know he's currently in the middle of a contract imbroglio with Fox News as to whether we will even be allowed to see the man sometime in the next couple of years. As I understand, he was under contract, is negotiating his way out of it. Two, from the content alone, before you jump in, Krystal, I thought at the very least, it was nice to hear most of the debates on television don't matter and have not mattered to our future. I would hope that that is a signal to the future that so much of what was included on the Fox News program, including, let's be honest, like for a huge portion of the Tucker Carlson show, outside of his own monologue and his own pet interests, it was just standard fare BS, which Brian Kilmeade is including now, which he probably didn't even select. It was like some producers or whatever idea that you're just going along with. I am hoping that in the future we can move past that and actually get to something which is a genuine critique of some of the issues which he raised there in that. I'm curious what you thought of the video.
I mean, I find the video kind of irritating in two ways. First of all, it was mostly like a lot of, grandiose, not really saying much of anything. Another thing, like, dude, you're not a martyr. You called your boss the C word. You're involved in like multiple potential multi-billion-dollar lawsuits. Imagine if you out there called your boss the C word. Do you think you would have a job at the end of the day?
You probably would want to.
In a way, it's amazing that he survived this long. But when you have, and there's some new reporting this morning about like the extent of how like out there the text messages that were revealed in the Dominion lawsuit, not even the ones that were revealed publicly, but ones that were redacted that the company came to know about. Like they were very concerned about what was in there. Apparently in there is where, he called probably Suzanne Scott the C word. Again, this is his boss. He's implicated in this sex discrimination lawsuit from Abby Grossberg that Counterpoints covered yesterday. She claims she's got like 90 different audio tapes and recordings and whatever. Who knows what's in that, but Fox probably knows what's in that. He may be implicated in the Smartmatic lawsuit as well. All the texts that came out publicly during the Dominion thing were extremely embarrassing as well. So yeah, you look at all these, all these pieces, and you have the fact that advertisers don't want to advertise on his program. So even though, yes, he's the highest rated thing, from a business decision and from just a pain in the ass decision and from a, public embarrassment decision, the math just didn't add up for them anymore, even though he was like buddy-buddy with Lachlan, who was part of making this decision. Yeah,
it was a bit odd how that all went down. I'm still not exactly sure why they would fire him over calling your boss a C word, and then it never even came out. Like, it's like something in your private text message. And apparently he wanted those texts to come out.
Well, I think he got arrogant, and they felt like they needed to reclaim. This isn't the first time that they've fired their top-rated host.
Yeah, they did this to
Glenn Beck, Bill O'Reilly. Megyn Kelly, it was a little bit different because she had kind of gotten crosswise with the Trump base, and so her ratings had fallen off when they let her go. But she was still a gigantic talent and, extraordinarily talented person. So Fox is reasserting their dominance in this situation. Now, is Tucker going to be fine? Is he going to find? Of course, he's going to find an audience. Will he have the level of mainstream cultural impact and influence that he had at Fox? Doubtful.
I don't know. I actually don't know about that because what we have seen already is a massive crash. Fox actually, in the 8 p.m. hour, I actually was just looking at it this morning, had their worst day since pre-9/11 times in terms of the numbers at the 8 p.m. So, I mean, it's a massive crash, right?
Yeah.
On the hour. It actually does show me, too, which is they were able to make up their ground over O'Reilly relatively quickly.
It took a couple years.
It took a couple years for Tucker, but they had Hannity to come in there and hold strong. But Hannity has degraded so much in terms of his content. I'll just be kind, just leave it to the content, and say that is where he hasn't been able to make up the ground, that it is making it very difficult for them. On the Abby Grossberg thing, I have to be honest. I mean, I just was looking at this new report that her lawyers confirmed she never actually even met Tucker while working for Fox News. Says that she never met him in person because he was taping the show from his personal studios in Maine and in Florida. The more that I'm looking at the lawsuit, she's accusing him, I guess, of promoting this hostile work environment. And that's part of the why, though, the EP was the target. Because he's probably the main point of contact, right? Like, there are probably 100 people who work on the show, at least in some way. Between booking producers, the overall, it's booking producers. I think the line producer. They have the studio people, the camera people as well. I'm putting all
these
together.
teams are smaller than you think. I mean, on a primetime show, like the core team of producers that Abby, what's her name, Grossberg would have been part of. You're talking maybe like 15 people. Yeah. It's not a huge group. And so, listen, I don't know. I mean, I'll wait to see what comes out. But clearly there was enough here that Fox was getting concerned about that they felt like they needed to take some sort of action. And it's also hard to parse, like, we've been heard of like 100 different factors that were involved in this firing. Another thing was like there may have been a personal angle. Apparently Rupert Murdoch's ex-fiance, just after they break up, she thought that Tucker was like the Messiah or something. And he was kind of freaked out by the way that she was talking about him, the way they were talking to each other. He breaks off the engagement, and then shortly thereafter, Tucker is canned. So he's taking his ex-fiance's favorite show off the air. So there's like a personal angle to this as well. I don't know how all of these swirling factors come together to lead to this decision, but at least a lot of the reporting, and the reporting in the Wall Street Journal, which I think we should take probably the most seriously, indicates that the final straw was they just learned about some of these text messages just before the Dominion suit, for what the redacted ones, the ones that we haven't even seen yet. And that was kind of the piece where they were like, all right, we're done here.
Yeah, they were done because they found out that he couldn't stand them. I think the Glenn Beck analogy is an important one. For people who don't know, Beck was fired actually at the height of his powers whenever he was such a rating powerhouse there. They thought he was getting too big for his britches because he was starting Blaze.com, or he was trying to start alternative media. He was writing a bunch of books like outside of contract, and Rod Rails finally was like, look, I don't care if the ratings are big. We have enough of a juggernaut here. We can recreate him on the aggregate, and it'll work out. From what we can see, the Murdochs apparently thought the same. Or, as you said, who the hell knows? When you have a capricious 92-year-old boss, like, it can come down to anything. We've worked for similar people, and these people are nuts. And, they're power hungry, and to them, it's a personal project. They don't even think of it as a multi-billion-dollar business. So, was he a victim of that? I mean, was it the Ray Epps stuff, as I've talked about here before? That's, another angle, which is really not, at least at the very least, I haven't seen floated as much, but it was cited in the original LA Times report, which, listen, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Lachlan Murdoch lives in Los Angeles. So to figure out where exactly some of these leaks are all coming from.
I do also think that to the extent that there is an ideological component here, like in the intra-Republican Party fight that is now started between Trump and DeSantis in particular, Tucker's on one side and Rupert Murdoch is on the other side.
Yeah, his flag is fully planted on DeSantis.
Fully DeSantis. Yeah. I mean, he told DeSantis, according to Gabe Sherman's reporting, that before 2020, so before the election even happened, he had DeSantis and his wife to one of his estates and told him, like, Fox News, and we are going to be with you. And you see that in their coverage. So here you have this very highly rated host who has a lot of sway culturally and with your audience, who is on the other side of that. I mean, that is a rub as well in terms of the putting the business piece aside, because Fox News has always been, at its core as well, an ideological project. So I think that part is important here too. But yeah, it's interesting times.
It is interesting. I'm excited to see what happens next. At the very least, just to see people lose it. I would love nothing more than to see very, very low ratings on Fox, and for them to have even more.
Listen, I'm cheering for low ratings on every one of the cable networks because they're all poison.
Yeah, I want to see these people go down so badly. So listen, you should always know there's a tremendous amount of copium in all of my analysis when it comes to cable news. I do try my best. I try my best. We'll see what happens.
I mean, we're partisans in terms of cheering for cable news' failure.
That's
no
true.
one should delude themselves about that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and behind the scenes, they've been trying to get me on Fox for quite a long time, basically since the beginning of the show. One of the reasons you haven't seen me on the Tucker Carlson show or any show was because I just thought, even if, he's my old boss and we were friends and all that, I didn't feel like it was cool to participate in this corporate media project and be necessarily a pawn in the Fox News ecosystem, because it's outside of the talent itself whenever we're sitting here doing critiques of cable every single day.
Yeah.
It just didn't square right to me. And especially because the format, it's like you're on their turf. You don't have the same power. So anyway, we'll see.
When you watch those segments, you realize just the setup and the constraints of it, you're never going to have.
If I don't have enough time, then I'm not really there. Then I'm a pawn, right?
Right.
It's like you always have to think about it that way. That's not to say that anybody who went on was bad. You can always go on and make a point. I just always felt like it would have been hypocritical within the confines of the show.
There can be good reasons to do it if you have a certain project you want to get out to a mainstream audience, no doubt about it. But in general, on just like a run-of-the-mill, hey, will you come on and talk about X, Y, or Z? It's like, nah, I'm good.
Yep. I think that's right.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.